All right, everyone, welcome back to Orlando Out of Context. I'm Brian.
I'm Stephanie.
And we have a special guest this week. It's Debbie Lee,
a.k.a. the Duchess.
We gave her quite the fanfare of an entrance. So welcome, Debbie.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we're so happy to have you. So you reached out to us on Instagram. Thank you so much. And Stephanie was really excited.
I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, you'll never guess who messaged us.
And then she asked me, is it okay if she comes on? And I said, yeah, of course.
Because Brian is a little bit straight-laced.
Yeah, I'm more straight-laced. But it's okay because we'll get into it a little bit more about like why definitely I said, yes, because you're going to get into where you work. Mm-hmm. And I'll kind of explain on my side of like why I'm like, yeah, totally. So you have two things. You have your Instagram, really, and then you have the place that you work for, which you're going to tell us shortly. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let you kind of take your intro and pass it on to you now.
Sure.
So tell us what you do.
So I work for Fairvilla. I'm their resource manager, and Fairvilla is a sex-positive chain of adult stores. They also do adult classes, and that's part of what I do. So I was originally hired to do more stuff kind of corporately for them to help assist with management, and quickly kind of jumped into this educational portion of stuff, and that has gotten me kind of a following on Instagram as well. I already had a little bit of a following. You have
quite the following.
Yeah.
Almost 10,000. It's getting close. It's getting close.
Hopefully some of our followers will join you over.
That would be awesome.
How long have you been in your role there at Fairvilla?
2.5 years, actually.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, it's 2.5 years next month. And with the classes, it's probably been about the 2 years now, because I think it was about 6 months in that I started doing the classes.
Cool.
But definitely the classes have gotten me a lot of attention online, and it's difficult, especially with, the internet being the way it is. You have to be careful about what you say. And,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And definitely I do a lot of, self-promotion on Instagram, which when you teach classes like I teach can be a little difficult, but it's super
fun. Honestly, it's difficult for anyone, no matter what industry you're in.
Oh, yeah.
I think even just viewing it, because I do marketing for my work. My day job is marketing.
That's awesome.
And I see it obviously more in females that they are being, even if they're like I work in real estate, a female real estate agent is getting messages from random. So I can't imagine what you are kind of getting.
Right.
So,
exactly. Yeah. It's especially with what I post. So, yeah,
people sliding into those DMs with inappropriate messages.
All day. It's interesting.
Probably like, oh, you can come teach me a class. Can I get a private class?
So tell us how you got here to Orlando. Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from New York City. Okay. I was born.
You can tell. I could tell a little bit when we were talking earlier.
Yeah,
she has that little bit of New York accent.
You'll hear. I'll say the dog.
The dog.
My dog.
My dog.
I had some coffee. So I was born and raised in New York City, and moved out here. Literally, I got the job the day I moved here. So it was like,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you moved here with no job.
I was technically working for OkCupid at the time. But remotely, so I could work from wherever. So I was like, okay, cool.
Doing what?
I was helping moderate their spam stuff. So when all the guys that are like, oh, just give me your bank information. I love you. You're beautiful. I want to be your husband. Those guys, I helped with that. So,
interesting.
Yeah. So I was doing that for a few years. But that was kind of a side job, but it paid enough for Florida. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll do that. See what else is out here when I get down there. Found Fairvilla quite by accident. And wound up there, but I had a history in New York City because I worked for Babeland, which a lot of people do know because it's been on Real Sex and Basketball Wives and all that.
I've never heard of it.
Really? Yeah, it's a chain also. New York, Seattle, they're a little bit all over, but I ran their flagship for 3 years, and they did classes similar to this as well. So when I came down here, I was like, oh, that's cool.
That's probably why they scooped you right up.
Oh, yeah. They were thrilled because they were, fans of Babeland there. So they're like, she worked for Babeland. Get her, And I was super excited. I was like, oh, cool. You know where I used to work? That's neat. And they were, trying to make this direction, push themselves into this direction of being more sex positive and more inclusive.
So I heard you say that when you introduced Fairvilla. So tell me about that phrase, sex positivity. What does that mean to Fairvilla? What should that mean to us and to our listeners?
Sure. So sex positive, I kind of simplify it by just saying it's that all sex is good sex as long as it's between consenting adults. It doesn't matter what you're into. Doesn't matter how kinky it is. Doesn't matter like what it is that you like. It's totally fine. And as long as you're doing it safely, consensually, you're taking the right precautions to make sure you're not spreading STIs. That's all we care about. So at a retail location, what that really means is that the products that we offer are going to be with health and wellness in mind. We're going to make sure we have products that are not going to hurt you or pose any risks, have any unnecessary chemicals in it.
So your buyers are looking into all of that when they're researching a vendor of, let's say, a new product. Like they're going to be researching what's going into that.
Exactly. And if we find something that we, obviously we have the mega store, it's 2 floors. If we find something there that we...
2 floors.
Yeah.
2 floors. A pleasure.
Yes, 2 floors, up until 2 a.m., 2 floors. It's all day, every day. And, if we find something that we just realize is not meeting our standards, that's something we have a conversation about. And additionally, with the staff, that's part of what I do is I train everybody and make sure everyone is up to date on, safety techniques and health and wellness concerns.
So that's something I have on the list because I've heard you were on a previous podcast that I listened to, and you talked about that education piece. So tell me, is that something that when you came into working at Fairvilla, is that one of the first things that you did was education? And tell us a little bit more about like the education. What makes Fairvilla different than another adult store?
We actually had a conversation today about the fact that we do try to really set ourselves apart from other businesses, especially in the area. It's not super common down here. It's more common up north to have stores that kind of have this thinking. But it was definitely something they had wanted to do. They already kind of felt at their core they were sex positive. They just didn't really know how to hire people that consider themselves sex positive or that truly understood sex positivity. And they didn't really know how to create... I guess they knew how. They didn't have the right person to kind of do that for them. So when I came in, they were like, is that something you would be interested in? Because I'm kind of vocal about it. I'm like, absolutely.
Right.
Like, just let me have some time with the computer. I'll write up some training manuals. And it just kept growing and growing. So we have different levels of employees. And so when you first start, you go through a certain amount of training. And then you can opt to take additional levels as well and get even more trained. So right now, like I'm a certified sexual health resource, and everybody in the company is kind of given the opportunity to do that, which is nice, and get certified. But with us as well, with my classes that I do for them, they go through a lot of training. So it's definitely something where if you go into the store, you can ask questions about, what's in this? Why is this different from that? I'm on, I'm diabetic, is this safe for me? And we will advise you to the best of our ability. And if we can't, we can definitely point you in the direction of what medical resource or something you should reach out to. Rather than, I've heard some horror stories where the companies will say, they told me to take 2 of these pills. And we're like, do not do that. We will never do that for the sake of sale. It's always about, if this isn't right for you, we're not going to tell you to take that. We're going to make sure you are getting what's best for you. And people ask a lot of questions. They feel comfortable now coming to us.
You can feel comfortable. I think that's the main point. That when you go to this store, you can feel comfortable. Like I grew up north, and every shop that I entered there was like some seedy, gross place.
Glassed out windows.
With like one weird guy working behind the counter, and you were afraid to like even touch anything. Like you're like, oh, are they gonna like? They just look at you like you're about to steal everything in the store. At Fairvilla, you can go in. Everyone is so welcoming. They're very knowledgeable about the products. It's a bright store. It feels clean. And the employees there are very easy to talk to.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I wanted to get into my story, my viewpoint of it, because, when Stephanie asked, do you want to have Debbie from Fairvilla on? I thought about it for a little bit, but I have to say, Fairvilla really is. I've never been to another sex shop. I don't think. I can't recall, but it is not like what you see in the movies or what you think of a dirty sex shop. I mean, it is on OBT.
Yeah, it isn't like a not great area.
It's in the College Park.
Yeah, it's getting to College Park. It's on OBT, but I have to say, like, it is so clean. Everyone, when you walk in, is always very friendly, And, you know, if I would have never gone if Stephanie wouldn't have said, oh, we got to go to Fairvilla.
And I noticed, too, that there's a variance of, like, there's older women that work there. There's younger women, older men, younger men. So you can kind of approach whoever you might feel comfortable with. You know, sometimes I'm 34, and an older woman might have different sex issues than I might have. Because, you know, things change when you get older. So then you can feel comfortable to talk to somebody who might have the same problems or, you know, issues.
And that's a good thing is, like, even with the people, if you have talked to somebody younger, they've still been trained for knowing what kind of works for that. Yeah. Like, that is a big part of what we cover is, you know, menopause issues, how that affects your body, how it affects what products you need. You know, we have products that are designed for that specifically. So, you know, depending on what kind of training the people have gone through and what they've opted for, that's a lot of the stuff that gets covered.
And I can't even paint the picture of how big this place is because it's not like a little hole in the wall.
The Disney World of sex stores.
So beautiful. It's
huge.
like, ah!
It's very big.
This is my favorite time to go to, like when Halloween's coming, because that's when all like the trashy costumes come out. Like, you know, all the good costumes for Halloween.
Stuff that gives you the good cleavage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, if you haven't been to a Halloween party, you need to come to that too.
Oh, you guys have Halloween parties.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. Most people like, how often do you get, like, I'll usually dress up for the party, get all in costume, and then get to teach like a blowjob class. Like, it's so fun.
So tell us, I'm kind of curious logistically because you're open not 24/7, but almost.
Basically, yeah.
How many people do you employ? Can we ask that?
I don't know exactly because that's like not my end of the business, but it's a lot of people. We have a lot because we have several there, obviously, and then we have the other locations.
I've also been to the Cocoa Beach location.
There you go. Yeah, it's Cape Canaveral now. Did you go before it was the boutique? You went when it was a big one?
It was like a weird building. It was like a weird octagon shaped building.
That's the old one. Now it's a small boutique and it's in like a little kind of strip mall situation. But
okay.
You know, it's mainly because now it's more like lingerie focused and things like that. But
do you still have the International Drive location?
We do.
Oh, I've been there too.
I haven't been to there.
Oh, you should go.
What is it called? Sexy Little Things?
It's called Fairvilla Sexy Things.
Oh, Sexy Things.
Yeah.
Sexy Things.
Because we like to say it's a sexy store rather than a sex store. You know, that little Y, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. It's fun. It's just a fun store with a little of everything.
It's much smaller though, right? From the street.
Smaller, yeah. But we have like that location has like a good cherry pick collection of like what does best. And
because it's more in a tourist area, maybe tourists shopping for some vacation funsies.
Yeah, it's like that's more of that kind of like, you know, one-on-one boutique experience, but then you have the mega store. It's kind of like a museum experience where you go to just kind of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory of sex toys, you know, that kind of experience.
It is. That's a very interesting way to put it because it's like a museum experience.
Oh yeah.
Because you know kind of walk the store, you go upstairs, you know, walk the store. Anyone who hasn't been there, you should go and check it out.
Definitely should go. I recently saw your store in an episode of one of my favorite trash TV shows, Before the 90 Days.
Oh, yes.
There's a woman on there. She's from Eustis, Florida, and she's traveling to, I forget, one of the Muslim countries. And she's saying, she's like in her, 50s maybe. And the guy that she's going to meet, her 90-day fiance, he's 20. And she openly says how bad he is at sex. Yeah, so she goes into Fairvilla, and the lady like helps her pick out like some toys, and she also sells her the dummies for sex book. But I guess, you know, Muslim countries, they're not very open about sex, and it's kind of just for one purpose and one purpose only. And you know, so she was complaining about how bad he was in bed. And I was like, oh my God, that's Fairvilla.
I know that place.
So speaking of education, let's kind of segue into Fairvilla University. Tell us a little bit more about Fairvilla University and your initiatives there.
So Fairvilla University is a program that basically focuses on public education. But it not only is education, it's fun too. The classes are a little bit, you know, seminar, a little bit kind of show. Well, usually really entertaining. I do a lot of the classes. There's another couple. They also have a podcast called Living a Sex Positive Life. The Lunas. It's John and Angela.
Okay.
And they do some of the classes as well. And we basically do classes based on our strengths. And we do a lot of different things. Like one of my best-selling classes that I've kind of gotten known for is the oral sex class, which is the secret art of oral sex, which is now expanded into an advanced oral sex class. And now we have one coming out next month, which is going to be the A to Zen.
It's a real university. They got 101, 102.
Levels.
Advanced.
Yeah, definitely. The advanced class is super fun. We just finally debuted that in Orlando. I started that one in the Cape store. But it's a great program, and we have everybody come in. You have the option of having some drinks if you want to.
Loosen up.
Some free drinks, which definitely doesn't hurt. Yeah, absolutely.
So what is the age range of your typical student there? Like,
it's everything.
Everybody?
Everything, yeah. I mean, I see men, women, I see people who are non-binary, I see young people, older people, couples. It's really a little of everything that comes to the classes, and it's great. I've seen people come in just for kind of that girls' night experience, but then I've had people literally tell me that I've helped save their marriage and like cry to me, which is like so amazing and rewarding.
Very cool.
But it's always fun. That's the great thing. It's like, while it can be really helpful and educational, and I've definitely had people say they've learned things they never knew, or that maybe they were doing that wasn't safe and they didn't know it wasn't safe, and I've helped them in that way. There's always still laughing and a good time happening. It's always, I have a little bell I have to ring. Sometimes people get too rowdy, and I'm like, all right,
ring them in.
You're at a 10. I'm going to need you at a 4. I can't continue until everybody stops. But it's a good time, and
sure.
But at the core of it, it's all about making sure that people know what's safe, and what they can do a little bit differently to make things more exciting. And I like to say, like, nothing I'm going to teach anybody is like the only way to do things. It's just different ideas, things that I've tried or people have tried that we've shared that people can apply to their own lives and see if it works for them. There's no one massive secret that everybody can apply to their life. There's all different things, and so you can take things from each class and see just what works for you. So that's kind of the thing with sex, is you always have to keep mixing it up.
Even when you have a partner, you always. I think some men, especially, like I can only speak for a man-woman relationship, but some men get like weird about toys and classes. They get like really weird about that, but it's like you should be open to it, especially if it's your wife and you want to make everything last and have fun and spice it up.
There's nothing wrong with education. There's nothing wrong with learning something new. And definitely, you're right. I hear that all the time, where guys will be like, I don't want her to like have a toy that competes with me. And I'm like, it's not going to take her out on Valentine's Day. So as long as you're making sure you remember your anniversary, that vibrator's not a threat to you. But,
so where would you go to sign up for these classes?
You can sign up if you go to fairvillauniversity.com, just www.fairvillauniversity.com. There's a list of the classes, and from there it'll take you to Eventbrite, where we actually sell the tickets.
Okay,
so
cool.
That's always good. You can always call the stores if you're not, computer savvy. We can always kind of walk you through it if need be.
And are they held at the different stores, or do you focus mainly on your the one over on OBT?
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere?
Yeah, I've done classes all the way to Key West. Like, any of our locations.
So you'll actually like travel to a location where there might not be a store? Or is there a store? There's a store in Key West?
Yeah, right on Front Street.
Oh, how did I miss that one?
Yeah, that's a good
I took one trip to Key West. I would have gone if I knew.
That's a huge store, too.
Bigger than the store here?
Not bigger than it. It's different. It's a single level, but it's a big space. It's a really big space.
Okay, so then go over all the locations. Did you go over the locations? So
there's OBT, the one that you were talking about, the big one. There's the boutique on I Drive. There's and that one's called Fairvilla Sexy Things. And there's Fairvilla Boutique, that's in Cape Canaveral. There's one in the Secrets Hideaway Resort in Kissimmee, and then there's also the Fairvilla Sexy Things that's in Key West as well. And we do a lot of outfitting for Fantasy Fest down there, which is really cool.
It really is a Florida institution.
Absolutely, yeah. I said to them, are we gonna go like out of Florida? And they're like, yeah, maybe. Their heart is here. It's definitely a Florida business. They love it here. The owners are here.
Well, if you can keep it local, and it's part of it. A big thing is the quality. So when you expand, it becomes difficult to control the quality.
Absolutely.
That's why a franchise like, say, In-N-Out, they own all their stores because they want to have that ownership of the quality. And they started in California, but they're only in Texas back in the 50s, but now they're only in Texas. They haven't made it over here yet because, I think that they're taking their time. So the same thing goes, when you're expanding, it's a tricky game.
It really is.
So,
and I know the quality is like definitely at the core of everything we do. We're all about, always doing what we can do best, and we care about the community too. It's nice. They do do a lot for the community, which is cool. So yeah, it's definitely something that it would be nice to be everywhere, but right now Floridians are kind of blessed to have them all to themselves.
Well, I really like the education piece because I feel like, I don't necessarily think it's the job of, the government to full on give such education, but I don't think I think there's a big piece missing there. Mm-hmm. And I don't even remember sex education in school. But at some point there needs to be something that better than what it is because, they don't teach you how to do your taxes and they don't teach you about, sex education very well. And those are things that I definitely think. So I think that it's great, with the education. And I'm sure you get a lot of people coming in that learn, like you said, lots
do you
of new
get
things. Any
of that where you're teaching teens?
Not really teens because our classes are 18 and over, but I've definitely had 18-year-olds for sure. And I've had lots of people say like, what can I tell my kids? We have people ask what they should be.
That would be a really good class to have, maybe start with the parents and then they can decide what information they want to give to their children. But I don't know, I guess as a parent, that would be a really difficult topic to discuss. Maybe very uncomfortable for you to talk to your younger child. I mean, especially now, kids are just growing up so fast with the internet and everything. I feel like you need to talk to your kid when they're like 10 or 11 years old.
Absolutely. I mean, and the internet has definitely changed the game drastically because, porn is accessible. It used to be that, you'd find like your older brother's magazine under bed when you're 13. You're like, what is this? Now they can see everything in like, 3D, like, with their, virtual reality goggles. They're like limited. And it's a little scary. I'm really glad I don't have kids. It's a little terrifying, but definitely it's you do have to talk to kids much younger. But it's kind of crazy how many people I'll speak to that are older and they don't know anything.
I mean, there's really like when I was in school, I took prerequisites for the nursing program and I was taking anatomy and physiology. And it wasn't until then that I learned about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. That there's actually like only like a window of time where you can get pregnant. Like my whole teen life, I'm thinking anytime something goes inside there, I'm going to get pregnant immediately. Like, I guess that's not bad to think though.
Yeah.
Just keep thinking that if you're a kid.
Yeah,
but
if you're under 18, keep thinking that. Just even direct eye contact, be careful.
Just don't even touch him.
Definitely. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things where people, even in school though, what they teach you in school is all abstinence. It's, STDs, which is important. It's important to know those things too. But they don't really teach you anything about pleasure at all. They don't even tell you the pleasure is okay, really. That's kind of the opposite of what they teach you in school. So a big part of my classes is reminding people that it is okay to experience pleasure, and that the classes are going to have safety techniques, but that shouldn't take away from the pleasure. I always do a warm-up in my classes where I make people shout dirty words with me really loud. Because everybody starts laughing. I make people shout like butthole at the top of their lungs, and everybody at the like ice cream store next door is like, what is going on over there? But, I do that because I like to say that, sex is a really serious subject, and it's one of those things where we're going to talk about safety. We're going to talk about the dirty stuff, the dark stuff, the stuff that's not super fun, but sex is really fun, and you have to be able to laugh about it. So, sometimes shouting butthole is how you start the laughing,
It's a break, it's icebreaker.
It's an icebreaker, right. Yeah, exactly.
So tell us about your Instagram account, what you're doing there, specifically like to like your body positivity and your message of body positivity.
So the body positivity has been something I've been super passionate about. I've been somebody who's been larger bodied most of my life. I've struggled with eating disorders. I've definitely had my share of pressures put on me to look a certain way. Luckily, I grew up with a mom who was super body positive without even knowing she was body positive, and that helped because
before body positive was a thing.
Right, exactly. Before it was a thing, she was there, and it was good in the sense that like I didn't ever really grow up thinking I needed to change, which is the really different from a lot of people that I hear. A lot of people had pressure put on them as kids. Like from the minute they started showing that their baby fat wasn't going away, they're like, okay, well now you need to be on a diet. And like I was just watching that show Shrill. If you haven't seen that, you should watch it. Oh, it's on
What's
Hulu.
It on? Hulu?
It's on Hulu. It's fantastic.
And it's called Shrill?
Shrill.
Okay.
And it's all about body positivity, and it's fantastic. You should definitely watch it.
Is it like a scripted show, or?
It's scripted. It's the main actress is an SNL girl, and she's fantastic. But it deals with being a larger person in reality, not in movies. The way in movies, it's always shown in certain ways. They either try to like glorify it, make it seem like there's nothing wrong with it and there's no downside to it and everything is just completely fine, or they do the opposite.
Or the fat person is always like the funny person.
The person everybody laughs at, or the funny person who relies on their personality.
Yeah.
And they show everything from her stretching out her shirt to like, make it a little looser so it's a little less clingy that day. I did that this morning, to like, just, having conversations with people where she had a really active day and then someone said that she's probably lazy, and it's like, that's definitely something I've experienced where I used to go to the gym twice a day every day, and people just assume you don't know anything about anything. I'm like, I do cardio 5 days a week. I do like, my resistance training twice a week.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing, but, people just, they judge you immediately. So that's something that I'm super passionate about is, letting people know that you don't have to change. If you are the way you are and you're happy, stop relying on other people's approval. Like during my classes, one of the things I do is, it's a little bit of a trick. I usually ask people, what's your favorite thing about yourself? And people think, oh, this is where we're being positive. I'm going to talk about my favorite body part. And they'll write it down. And I'll always be like, my butt or my eyes. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. I'm glad you like that about yourself. But how do you see that? Do you see it normally? Like, you have to look in a mirror to even see those things. So your favorite thing about yourself entirely, every part of your body, your favorite things are things you don't see 99.9% of the time. So why is it your favorite thing? It's your favorite thing because of the reaction other people are giving you for having that. It's people commenting on your butt. It's people commenting on your eyes. That's why you like it. Right. It's that approval from people. And that's where people need to kind of break out and realize, oh my God, that doesn't really serve me a purpose other than compliments.
Right.
Compliments isn't what I should be living for. I should be living for what my body can do for me. The fact that I'm great at softball because my legs are amazingly strong, or, the fact that I have long fingers and they allow me to play the piano. So
that's a good way to look at it in a class, switch somebody's mindset from, the answer that you're, automatically go to, and then taking a different look at it and a different approach. I think that's great. Yeah, and that's always an aha moment where people are like, oh my God, I stepped into a trap. I didn't even realize it, but you're right. And people don't realize that. And it's crazy because we're trained to feel that way. We're trained to feel that we need approval from other people and that approval makes us happy. And without that approval, we're miserable. And that's where you need to start thinking about, well, what really makes me happy? Is it people telling me I look good in a swimsuit and me not going swimming when I don't feel like I look good in a swimsuit? Or is it actually swimming? Like, is it the swim? If it's the swimming, put on a swimsuit. I don't care what you look like. Go swimming. That's why you're putting on the swimsuit, Just go in the water and enjoy it. But so many people will not do their favorite things because they don't like how they look doing it.
It's so difficult in the world that we live in and the climate that we live in. We always joke that we're like elder millennials. Yes. Like, I can't ever... we didn't grow up having to look at 100 selfies of all of our peers. And so starting at the age of 8. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really... thank God I didn't have those problems. I mean, I've been overweight my whole life as well, but I only had to deal with it, like, when I was at school. Like, when I went home, everything was fine. Nobody really bothered me at school either, honestly. I really never had issues, but I can't imagine being bullied on Facebook and getting all these trolls on Instagram, and it's a lot for young girls and guys. One of my friends, her daughter is in high school. She just started, I guess it was last week, and she told me that on the first day of school, someone called her daughter fat. And her daughter is not. What is she, like a size 8 or something? Not fat at all. I mean, that's just like blows my mind, and then that puts it into her mind, and she's living with that, and then she's wanting to go to the gym when she doesn't. I mean, and maybe skipping meals and go to the gym if you want to, but you don't have to because you have to
make anybody else happy. Exactly.
Right.
If you want to go to the gym because you like going to the gym, or you want to, get stronger. I know plenty of people who are larger bodied that still go to the gym regularly just for the health benefits of being stronger and feeling like their heart is pumping, getting, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so you don't, your breath isn't as heavy up the steps.
Right, exactly.
So,
you can be physically stronger and healthier and never get skinny, you know? I definitely worked my way up to, like, being able to lift a tremendous amount of weight, being able to max out my elliptical machine at, like, the max resistance, but I never got skinny, I didn't get skinny. Was I healthier? Sure, because I was exercising and, my lungs were healthier, my heart was healthier, my blood pressure dropped. But it was not reflected on my outer body. Who knew? My doctor when they took my blood pressure. My machine when I put it on the max resistance. When I stepped on a scale, according to society, I was not skinny. I was not fit. But I've had doctors legit tell me at that point I was what they called fit but fat. Because I was larger body.
I think it's also interesting, the term obese, because I remember that. I think at some point, maybe I weighed in somewhere and I was... and I'm considered obese now.
Same.
But that word has such
negative.
So
negative. It's not it's a horrible word because, like, at the time whenever I was going through that, whether it was the hospital, it must have been in the hospital where I was waiting, but obese, and I just didn't view myself as obese because there's there's a certain type of person that would be obese, that, 600 pounds on the TV, that's obese to me. But it's just interesting that what that word kind of holds and the negativity that it holds.
Absolutely. And I think it's because what we attach to words. It's the same thing with the word fat. People are reclaiming the word fat now and saying, look, I'm fat, I'm a fat activist, I'm part of the fat community. But there's a difference between saying it that way and how people say it. It's not a descriptor. It's not like saying, you're brunette, but I don't mean anything bad by that. You wouldn't think I mean. If I'm like, oh, well, you're brunette, you're not going to be like, well, what does she mean by that? I'm like, you're brunette. Yeah. But if I say you're fat, you automatically know what that means. That means that I also think you're lazy. I think you're, you eat too much. There's a lot that we attach to those words. So when people say them, it's not just a descriptor anymore. It's really an entire statement about who you are as a person. So we're told a lot of power, and we give them that power, unfortunately. We do. We allow words to have power, and sometimes you have to take that power back from them. And
we're getting deep today on Orlando.
I'm just sitting here like, damn, this is true. I live my whole life, basically. So, I feel what you're saying. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a great message.
Thank you. Yeah, so that would be what I'd like for my Orlando people, is for them to come to the classes and leave feeling good. And I've done a few body positive classes specifically where it's not even really about sex. We just did a really great one at the big store, where it was focusing on...
Is that what you guys call it, the big store?
For us, we're like, inside, we're like, where are you going? The big store.
The big store.
OBT.
Oh, now we have the insider.
Yeah, the insider lingo.
Insider lingo. The big store.
A really cool class because it was about, just body positivity. It did not mean any particular body size. It was more just for you to accept yourself and love yourself, but also how to use that in the art of the tease. So we did have a burlesque person who came in, and she modeled some lingerie, and she was a plus size person as well. So it was really cool, and everybody just had such a good time. Everybody felt so comfortable and open, and I love that. Anytime I've done a body positive class, you can see the shift from people being like, am I who else is coming? Am I gonna be the biggest person here? And you see this kind of uncomfortable entrance, and then a few minutes in, everybody's talking. They're all like, oh my god, me too. And there's this coming together, and by the end everybody feels empowered and sexy and comfortable, and it's so nice to just see that turnaround happen right in front of your eyes.
A safe space, but really that shouldn't be where you go for a safe space.
Yeah, the world should be a safe space. Right. Should be. The whole world would be nice.
Right.
But we have to do that with one class at a time.
One class at a time. There's only so much of me that can go around.
So
but there are a lot of people doing it.
Remind our listeners where to go for the classes.
So www.fairvillauniversity.com is a great place to go see descriptions of each class. And that will take you to Eventbrite. Or if you're good at Eventbrite and you want to come to one of the classes, you can just go to Eventbrite and look up Fairvilla. And pick a store or pick a class. And
we haven't talked about Eventbrite. I use it for some events at work, but if you're looking for stuff in the area, you can go to Eventbrite and just look at what's coming.
I do that.
I never thought of that. I was just this particular event that I'm using requires me to use Eventbrite.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a whole database of things that are happening.
You can search.
Yeah,
I've searched just to see what
you're
other
bored,
events in the area. There's similar, cool. But they have like body positive stuff on there all the time. There was a body positive pool party recently that was on there. It's pretty cool.
Oh, pool party!
If we could arrange that
our bikinis,
I'd love that.
So, where in Orlando do you live?
I'm in Windermere. That's where I got my name from Instagram, Duchess of Windermere. Okay. So I'm in Windermere. I've been there since I moved here, and I have not.
So what made you like go to Windermere? Like you just like put your finger on a map and said, "This is the part of Orlando that I'm going."
Pretty much. So I was standing on a platform in New York one day waiting for a train, and it was like, I remember it was 19 degrees, and I was like, I'm not doing another winter. I can't do this anymore. I can't feel my toes. I'm wearing 6 layers of clothing right now. I hate this. I hate it. And that was it. I decided I wanted to move. And I loved Orlando. I love Disney. I'm like a big kid. So I was like, I need to like just...
You're in a safe place. We love Disney too.
There you go. Awesome.
You are in a safe space.
It's the best. And it's just like, obviously I needed to be somewhat progressive because I would not do well anywhere else. And Orlando, obviously, has a pretty good community of people who are progressive and inclusive, and a younger crowd for Florida, which is nice. So it's not Boca.
For Florida. Yeah.
It's not Boca.
So we don't have the villages in here.
I'm surprised that Fairvilla doesn't have a location in Tampa.
Yeah, they don't, and I don't know the reasoning for that.
That just came in because Tampa is not so much an older town. Like it's a good, vibrant town.
Mix.
Yeah, it's a good mix.
I definitely go hang out there.
Yeah, Tampa's cool.
Yeah, but no, we don't have a store there.
So you picked Windermere.
I just picked Orlando, and I was on Craigslist.
You came here alone?
I came here with my best friend at the time. Okay. It was my best friend. We both moved here. Now another one of my friends is moving in a couple of weeks. Everybody's like following me down, like the Pied Piper, like Orlando. It's like, come follow me. Come follow me in the dildos.
No more snow.
No more snow. That's a pretty good sales pitch right there. Just like, I don't shovel snow. I don't even know what snow looks like anymore. But yeah, I just wanted to move near Disney. And I actually had found this place on Craigslist that looked really amazing. And I did the drive-by to see how the neighborhood looked. I didn't know anything about Windermere. And I happened to drive by during the Disney fireworks. I realized you can see them from the apartment.
That was signed, sealed, and delivered. It was it.
I didn't even see my apartment, like, actual unit before I moved in. I was like, I will take it.
Fireworks, I'll take it.
Have a view of the fireworks. Cool. Here's my deposit. That was it. And so I've basically been there ever since, except for a small hiatus to move down the block, and they moved back. So.
Gotcha. Cool. So, pro tips for Windermere. What's your favorite place to eat in Windermere?
Oh man, that's tough.
We don't make it out to Windermere very often, if at all.
That's why we need a pro tip
from Debbie Lee. Out there. Yeah. Their whole town was, when I moved there, it was like, there was one shopping center. That was it. And they just built
It's expanded tremendously.
Oh, it's crazy. Well, they opened a place called Toasted. Have you been to Toasted?
No.
This is the grilled cheese place.
Oh, yeah. Is that a chain?
It's a chain.
Two, I think.
I haven't been yet.
2 or 3.
Have you?
No.
Oh, go. Oh. They have a thing called the Fig and Goat, which is like goat cheese and fig spread.
Oh my gosh, that sounds really
good.
Fig
spread?
Fig is a fruit.
Sweet stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's like some really sweet, like jelly basically. It's amazing.
That sounds really good.
It's fantastic.
Toasted.
Toasted's up there. Yellow Dog Eats is a really cool.
Have you been to Yellow Dog Eats?
I've heard of it, but I have not been.
It's outside of Windermere. It's, I think, technically.
It's Windermere.
But it's close enough.
It's Yellow Dog Eats. It's really good.
Super cute. It's just a fun place to go
and it's good.
So good.
I've only been there once, but it left an impression.
It's definitely one of those good kind of like local kind of hidden spots.
They have like these crazy like sandwiches. Yeah, so that's what I would describe it. And, like
they have a good almost like an Elvis type like peanut butter banana fluff. I think
it's good. It's delicious. Okay, so since you're a Disney fan,
yes,
what is your favorite park?
Oof, that's a tough one because I
are you a pass holder?
Food. What?
Are you a pass holder?
Of course.
Of course.
I moved here for Disney. I got a pass like the minute I got here. It wasn't weird. I literally told my friend like, we're getting you a pass like as you're moving down so we can go your first day here. I'm like obsessed. So no, obviously Epcot has great food. So love Epcot.
We're getting pumped for Food and Wine.
Oh, I'm so excited. I go with like a map of like, this has this food, this has that food. Like I'm a professional.
Check.
Professional. But I think Magic Kingdom, because when I was a kid and I visited Disney, my dad didn't know that Magic Kingdom was like the park. So he took me to MGM, what was MGM at the time. Now it's Hollywood, which is like probably was the most boring
The
park.
worst park.
Yeah. It was basically Universal. That's all. It was like a second Universal.
Yeah.
So I never got the Disney experience as a kid. So seeing it as an adult for the first time,
Oh,
I
that's
was like,
funny. That is really funny that he took you to the...
You can't wait. You came all the way from New York, and he took you to studios and then took you back to New York?
went right back to New York.
Jeez, Dad.
Yeah. He was not... He
You still
did not
talk
know
to
what he
him?
was doing. He passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dad.
Should I cry and make you feel bad?
We'll give him a pass
You get a
because
pass.
that was
It's okay.
before Google.
Yeah.
So
It's okay.
We're giving Dad a
Yeah,
pass.
it was before Google. He did it like with like a roadmap. It was before like TomToms
my
even existed.
gosh.
You know,
well, it
so-
was sweet that he even brought
It was
you.
a nice
You know, some
thought.
kids don't even get to come.
Exactly. But yeah, I never got to see the castle, so I didn't understand the magic of Disney until I was engaged and I was in my mid-20s, and my ex was like, you know, hey, you need to do Disney. I'm like, I don't get Disney. I just don't understand why people love Disney so much. And
Because
he's
you
like,
went to the studio.
you need to do the real park. You need to do it. And they took me, and I literally was like, can we extend our stay? Like, what are we, do we have, we did, we extended our stay. We're like, that's it.
It's weird to meet somebody who is like newly fallen in love with Disney. Like usually Disney people are people who spent their
birth.
whole childhood coming on vacations, and it was kind of like, yeah, your birthright.
Yes.
And
The
to hear
nostalgia.
somebody fall in love with Disney as an adult, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was just like one of those things where I was like, I get it now. I literally needed another suitcase when I came back for all the stuff I bought. Like I bought so much I needed a second suitcase.
Have you been to Disneyland?
I haven't because I hate planes.
Oh God, you gotta go.
I
California is
know.
beautiful from top to bottom. Disneyland has such a feel to it.
It's a different vibe.
It's a different vibe.
I have a friend
You would
that
love
just
it.
moved there, and she's like, you need to just come visit me.
Yes, just go.
LA is beautiful.
Get your map.
Yeah,
get in the car.
No TomTom, no GPS. Sundial, like finger to the like
Yes.
railing. Pocahontas it.
So is there anything else that you would like to plug or let our listeners know about?
Well, definitely the class next month is a cool thing to check out, especially because oral classes seem to be what everybody's into.
And this is a class in September?
It's in September.
Okay, so this will be airing in September.
Awesome.
So as you're listening, make sure you head over to the
website. Check
Yeah.
out the dates.
Yeah.
Check out the dates. It's going to be all about, it's going to be really interesting because it's an oral class, but it's going to be a little bit different because we're doing Zen-temper. So it's going to be all about focusing on yourself and, you know, mind,
What
body,
is it?
spirit.
Zen what?
Zen-temper.
Zen.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
Educate us.
So it's just basically taking like basic Zen techniques and applying them to just sex. So there's going to be Tantra classes earlier in the month.
Interesting.
That I'm not teaching, but the Lunas are. And then I'm going to be doing the Ada Zen oral techniques. So that's going to be learning how to be in the moment, how to, you know, have like more connection to what you're doing, how to use it to relax yourself, how to relax your partner with oral, and the surprising health benefits of oral sex, which a lot of people don't know. There are a lot of health
For the
benefits
giver
to
or
it.
the receiver?
For both. For both. So it's going to be a really cool class. It's definitely different from our regular oral classes, but it's going to be really informative, really fun. And we get to teach everybody how a simple piece of chocolate can help you give a more mindful blowjob, basically. So
just a little. She's giving you a little tidbit, a little hook to
Choc-
bring
Chocolate
you
does
in.
miracles.
yeah, so you get drinks and chocolate already. It's a pretty good.
Hello.
It's a pretty good class.
All right. Well, great. And then our listeners can follow you on Instagram.
Absolutely. Just Duchess of Windermere. For those of you who don't know, there's no T in that. A lot of people think it's DUTCHESS, but it's just DUCHESS.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Duchess of Windermere, and
We'll be featuring you on our Instagram. So
Awesome,
for our
thank you.
viewers who follow us on Instagram, head over to ours during the week that this airs, and then you can follow the Duchess there.
Awesome.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Same
thank you so
here.
much for coming.
Thank you for having me. This was super fun. It was so nice meeting you two.
Yes. All right, guys. So until next time, bye.
Bye.
Follow us on Instagram at Orlando Out of Context. Instagram is where you can connect and interact with us, as well as see photos and videos related to this week's episode.
Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and iHeartRadio.